Back and to highlight the Syrian and Iraqi fight in light of the developments, we have with us over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Hussein Hariri, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Your Excellency, let me here take your reading to the recent assaults by Turkey and Iran on areas in Syria and in Iraq.
Well, I guess, of course, from the perspective of international law, this is, of course, a blatant intervention in the affairs and the security of two independent and sovereign nations, namely Syria and Iraq. From an Arab point of view, on the other hand, I guess this is one of the consequences of the so-called Arab Spring of 2011, that leading Arab countries, leading Arab powers like Syria and Iraq have lost much of their capacity to defend their national security interests. Thirdly, I personally believe that the lack of Arab response, a collective Arab response vis-a-vis the Turkish and Iranian attacks and aggressions against Iraq and Syria, I guess this lack of collective will and collective position have encouraged both Turkey and Iran to keep attacking Iraq and Syria. In other words, in order to put a stop to such kinds of attacks, I believe that Arab countries should show more solidarity with Syria and Iraq. Mm-hmm. In other words, they should work as deterrent powers that would really make Turkey and Iran think twice before renewing their attacks on these two leading Arab powers.
Your Excellency, we're seeing here the Turkish side assaulting areas in Iraq and Syria with more than 471 attacks. With the pretext of attacking the PKK, which they claim have to do with this bombings or explosions that occurred in Turkey. But let me here take it from another perspective. Yes, indeed, we need a collective Arab action towards such aggression. But also, let me here ask you about the response of the international community. I mean here that this war or the Russian operations in Ukraine are very much attacked and are dealt with in a very strong way from the Western side, the NATO, the European side, the United States, and all this, vis-a-vis very much unreasonable, unjustified attacks, but this time to Arab countries. How do you view also how the international community are dealing in both sides and their response was such?
Well, I guess when we speak about international community as far as the situation in northern Iraq and northern Syria is concerned, I guess we have to define what we mean by international community. I personally doubt that the international community as a whole follows closely developments in this part of the world. But if we would like to be more precise, let's speak about the international powers, the great powers, Russia, the United States, the France, Germany, and other member countries in the European Union. I believe that these countries have, as you rightly said, they are preoccupied. Their strategic priority number one for some time to come is the war in Ukraine.
Yes.
Having said that,
Your
yes.
Excellency, before we continue on, let's take just the adhan and then we'll come back. Please stay with us. We'll go now to the adhan and we'll come back for our discussion with His Excellency Ambassador Hussein Hariri.